I am very fortunate to be with Andrea Simon today. I love having the opportunity to be with you today.
Well, it is truly special. The feeling is mutual. Sai, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I would love for you to express and share with us who you are for those that have not heard of you, and then we can dive in deeper.
Well, my name is Andrea Simon, but I call me Andy, and I am a author of a book called On the Brink, A Fresh Lens to Take Your Business to New Heights. I'm a corporate anthropologist, and I specialize in helping organizations and the people inside them change. And they hate me because people hate to change. I'm also a podcaster, and we have a podcast called On the Brink with Andy Simon. And my next book is coming out in January called Rethink, Smashing the Myths of Women in Business. And I am very, very fascinated by the emergence of women at a level that is unprecedented. 65% of the accountants today are women. 400,000 attorneys, 40% of them are women. 30% of the colleges are run by women. There's some tsunami coming. And so part of my own interest, passion, is what's happening that can change our culture and society in such a way that men and women can live differently. Somebody said I was a futurist. They ranked our podcast among the top 20 futurists. I didn't know I was a futurist, but now I've been named. So I'm an anthropologist who sees the future, which is hard to do, but everyone is looking ahead to see what's coming out of this pandemic and the recession. And I'm just delighted to share with you some perspectives.
Thank you so much, Andy, for that. And as you know, of course, the narrative is broad and the themes are widespread. What can you share with us? What do you see, and where are we headed with all this?
Well, I got introduced to you through a LinkedIn contact, and Chris Deming said you should do this. So what is this? I think that the positioning, the 4 pillars are extremely important. Technology enabled, business focused, human powered, and society embracing. And I spoke today to a chamber organization on change. 30 million companies in the US are small businesses. They represent 99% of all the businesses in America. So from my perspective in thinking about anti-fragility and robustness and fragility, and when you look at the companies that are the dominant companies, the small businesses, the family firms, 67% of the businesses are owned by boomers. What are we going to be coming out of with? Because the folks are slow to adopt technology. They are in some ways running small businesses the way they've always been run, in a very traditional fashion. They human powered, that's all there is. And they think of themselves in a very sacred fashion. It's almost, from an anthropological perspective, it's almost sacred. And the family firm is struggling with what the next generation of the family is. And then society embracing, they have a purpose that is in part to keep themselves afloat, but also to really build society in innovative ways. And so as I'm looking at the upcoming conference, I'm fascinated by the conversations that'll come out, but I'm also anxious to make them relevant to a wide audience of people who desperately need them. They need every part of those 4 pillars and thinking about the future in a fresh way.
Andy, I love the way you're describing it, and I really invite your perspective on this. If we look at the crisis, the COVID crisis, amongst many other crises out there, let's put it that way, what is the role in crisis, if you will, that becomes a catalyst for challenging what is sacred in our worldview?
I love it. I often preach, if you want to change, have a crisis or create one. I never expected to have this approach, and it's multi-level. You know, it's not just economic, it's not just civil unrest, it's not just the virus, it's a whole society. But I also preach, don't waste a crisis. You don't want another one of these. But what can come out of this if you pause, step back, and look at what's going on and think through not how to be an imitator, but to really be either a incremental improver, but a major innovator. And the pressure on us to think differently is really fascinating. I've had clients who said, I can finally do things I've always wanted to do, but nobody would let me. The crisis gave me permission to change. Another one who said, man, this remote workforce, I've been trying a little, and now they're all there and they're all adapting to it. Remember, as we change, things have to change. We have to change the way we think, our skills, the way we behave, the structure that it's in. It's not a little or a that. It's not a new hire. It's a whole new way of seeing. And my last point that I want to emphasize is that our brains take the data and create a story. That becomes the illusion called our reality. And as long as we hold on to that movie set, we only see the things that conform to it. Well, nothing conforms to it now. And you can't quite visualize what's coming next. And we're very much futurists. We want to see what's coming next. So it's forcing us to do that anxiety driven thing of thinking, of looking ahead, of being creators. And that's how humans have always evolved, by seeing things through a fresh lens and then jumping on it and making it happen. And I think we're on the brink of doing just that. I often say my book was because all my clients were on the brink, but now a whole lot of folks are on the brink, and it's a great time to be creators. We're going to create new markets in great ways. Believe in yourselves. We can do it.
Very, very, very well said. And I would be remiss not to ask you to elaborate on leadership and what that really means, and especially the female leadership, if you will, and kind of the wisdom that you've been able to capture in your next book. So please, I'd love to learn more.
Well, that is a great question. I have 2 leadership academies going for 2 clients. And the question is, what kind of leaders do they want? And they don't really know. But we have to teach them how to lead. And so that raises some great questions. The folks in my book are 10 women, all of whom smashed the myths of what they could or couldn't do. They led. There's a myth that women can't lead, and Jamie Candy has run several businesses to great success, and she has a different leadership style. The ones who are entrepreneurs, whether it's Celeste Ford, who built Stellar Solutions to be a Malcolm Baldrige Award winner, or Stephanie Breedlove, who built hers to sell it for lots of money, the leadership style they have is a very collaborative one. It's a very creative one. It is an upside down one. They don't think they have all the answers, but they are very much, if I said a recurring theme, they are very enablers, collaborators, creators, visionaries, enablers in the sense that people follow them. Leaders need followers, and they need fans who trust their wisdom and direction, but don't necessarily think they have all the answers. And they're also very customer focused. If I had to tell you there's a recurring theme, it's a small sample, but I'm doing more research because I'm finding this to be a recurring theme of women who are successful aren't all-knowing, top-down, controlling. They truly think it's that we can do this, and they really understand how the customer's needs and the staff's stories have to align, because they often go out and they find that the customers are saying one thing and the staff is saying another, and it's as if they're in 2 different businesses. And they find ways of getting alignment so that they can lead things forward. The leadership in government and politics today for women, I am fascinated to see what's coming. But if you listen to them, you're going to hear more we's than I's.
Mm-hmm.
And the neurosciences are teaching us that when we say we, the brain produces lots of oxytocin, that happy hormone going on up there saying love. And when we say I, a lot of cortisol goes on saying, ooh, flee it, fear it, appease it. It's a different style. Men have different styles of leading. But the women and the networks they're building and the belief in them is going to be transformative. And I think it's very important for other women to begin to believe they too can lead. And others are following them, which makes them great leaders.
Very, very well said, and definitively the we concept, and I would be likewise remiss not to mention Judith Glacier's great work and what have you, that immediately is key for the conference, and very honestly key for everything I've done in my professional career and personal life, very openly. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Well, I'm not doing it casually. I had known Judith, and I adored her work on the We Institute. And I use it all the time because it is transformative.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't a slight change in thinking. It is important for us to understand how the chemistry in our body operates, and what you say and the conversations you have are what life is about. And so the right words in the right way build teams and lead, and the wrong words in the wrong way build adversaries and competition. And I do think that we can begin to see the battles change as the women lead. So I'm an advocate.
Very well said. There's a keyword. There's a keyword that you've used a few times in our conversation, um, and likewise in other conversations that we've had that I would love you to elaborate on. And that word is creator.
Yes.
Please share what you're thinking.
Well, uh, I'm biased, influenced, and driven by the work we do on strategy for companies. We've made the competition irrelevant. We're blue ocean strategists. And I met Renee Mabon when the book came out. And I really am a big believer that in the world, there's a lot of supply, not enough demand. And I do think that the most successful companies are going to be those that are creators of solutions that we need in innovative ways. And I do think that as we go forward, it's going to be fascinating to see where the money flows, because it might not just reestablish what was. Do we need another coal plant? Or how can we make solar ubiquitous? It costs nothing. And there's a lot of really important stuff that will transform, create a better world where we're healthier, we live better and longer, and we live in collections of people who like each other. But the creator part is often forgotten when we compete all the time. And one of the things I preach is make the competition irrelevant and
Mhm.
create solutions that people need, and you'll find them coming to your door. And if they're not, then what are you not telling them, sharing with them, messaging to them? Because this isn't, they may not know it yet. But I do think that, I'll use my on the brink again. I think we're on the brink of creating a dramatic transformation of our society that people are going to enjoy moving toward, as opposed to resisting. And humans love to resist change. They love to tell you it's a good idea, but they're not going to do it. What was the old line? I'm all for change, just don't change me. Well, guess
Exactly.
what? And we're in
Yes.
for new times.
Yes. Yes. I'm reminded of Picasso in that every act of creation is first an act of destruction, and
Yes.
and a lot of people fixate on, well, that means I have to destroy something first before I create, and the answer is no. Just create.
Yes. And every story that ends has a beginning to the next story.
Yes.
And I don't think you should underestimate that, because your brain needs a new story. And as one ends, the new one comes out. And next thing you know, oh my gosh, you're a believer. And remember, the brain changes when it hears the story. So coming out of your conference are going to be a lot of folks whose brains are going to be different than when they went in there, literally. And
Yeah.
they are going to have their own stories transformed in the process of listening to others. And that's why we gather, right? Because we grow that way. And I love the book, The Success of Our Story of Our Success, by Joseph Heinrich. I think The Secret of Our Success it's
Mm.
called. And it's about how we co-evolved. It's through our conversations and through our storytelling that we have matured and evolved as a human species. And whether he's right or wrong, I love the thought that it is our sharing, like lightnings today, which will help us all grow together. So I'm growing with you. It's been such an exciting time to meet you.
Likewise, all around, and I hope this is definitively the beginning of a journey that will continue to manifest between us, especially, and among us all, quite honestly. So I value you tremendously. I hope you know that. I'll say it very openly. Uh,
Well,
sort
Sai, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to have deep conversations and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you so much. Sort of, top of mind things that you think leaders and organizations and society and people should really keep in mind. Would love to hear your voice on that.
I think that love thy neighbor is in real demand right now. I mean, I can talk about technology and what it can do to transform, but I think this is a time of humility and kindness. And I know that the secret of our well being comes from humility and kindness, conversations, and sharing. And if nothing else, your own stress and anxiety can be well managed with acts of gratitude. So I've really embraced the idea that we can control our happiness and
Mm.
our sense of well-being by doing things that matter in simple ways. Acts of kindness build an enormous sense of purpose, but well-being. A little mindfulness, quieting the mind down, and looking at the day in the moment is very helpful. Having conversations like you and I with more and more people, the research is amazing. If you go on a bus and talk to a stranger, you feel better. They
Yep.
feel better.
Yep.
Doesn't take a lot, right? And sharing, it's just, so I'm a sharer. I like to be able to share thoughts and hope it'll help somebody see things through a fresh lens. But I think that being humble and kind, I think that's a song by Tim McGraw, but I still love it as a way of life.
Definitely, definitely. And you know what's intriguing is you use the word, love thy neighbor. And you notice a lot of people notice that I use the word love very, very
Yes.
intentionally. And it's not without deliberateness and intentionality that I do use it. And I often reflect back on Robert Sternberg's triangle of love. He,
Yes.
call, he calls out, right, the three dimensions: intimacy, passion, and commitment. And I translate those very openly. I'd love your perspective on this. I translate intimacy as awareness, if you will. Are we aware of each other? Passion, once we have a degree of awareness, are we willing to put energy into what is between us and what manifests? And then truly, are we committed to make that happen, that awareness and that energy, and truly committed to make those decisions and be together as such? So
Now, I'll add the fourth leg to that, and that's trust.
well said.
I do think that those are very important, but we need to trust that when we open ourselves to somebody, they will treat it carefully and in a trusting fashion. And um, we've all been injured over our lives, and it makes us resist a little bit trusting. And then you find people you want to open to, and you need to be careful, and you don't want to be careful too much. You want to trust that it's okay. And even if it's not okay, it's okay.
Well said. Very well said. Andy, thank you so much for making the time. I look forward to our next conversation, and you are truly a treasure to the world. So thank you for being you.
Oh, Sai, I can't wait to attend the conference. I think it's just a gift to me to have found it and to find you. So thank you for the gift. It's really a present.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Andy. Take good care.
Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.